Welcome to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, a homeschool mom, entrepreneur, and educator with over 20 years of experience in the areas of elementary and special education. It's my mission to help you create lifelong learners and embrace a holistic approach to education at home. I'll be sharing practical strategies, inspiration, and resources to support your family. Whether you're a stay-at-home mom, a business owner, or balancing work and homeschool, you're in the right place to connect with a community that values education just as much as you do. Join us each week as we ditch the stress, embrace the joy of learning, and set your family up for a lifetime of success. Hello, friend. Welcome back to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I'm your host, Christine Furman, your home education expert. Well, Happy New Year. How has 2026 been for you so far? I know we're only a few days in, but I hope that you had the best holiday season leading up to the new year and have had a wonderful new year start to the year. So how are you? How are things going? It's just exciting. A new year is an exciting time, but also a time for reflection and a time for setting some intentional goals. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about how can we set some intentional goals for 2026 and not feel like we have to rush into it and everything has to be perfect. I know that I've done that for years, right? Like stress out because, oh my gosh, January 1st, I need to start completely different, right? And I need everything to, I'm going to start the year off right and I'm going to do all the things right. And if I don't start right on January 1st, I have failed for the whole year. Well, let me just tell you, I'm here to share that is not true. That if the new year did not start out in the best way possible, or you didn't get to start your, health journey the way that you wanted to, or your schedule, and things just didn't go the way that you wanted it, or you thought that it should go, you're not a failure. The year is not over. We have a lot of time to start new habits and really form those habits into routine so it just becomes part of our life. So we're going to talk a lot about that today. And I'm also going to share about my holiday where it wasn't totally the way that I had planned the whole trip, right? So we were gone from our home in Georgia for about 3 weeks. And it was an interesting trip. So I'm going to share that with you today. I'm still recovering from a little bit of a cough. So if I have to take a break and take a sip of some tea, that is what I will be doing today to make sure that I have a nice, smooth voice for you guys all today. Because let me tell you, it has been a couple weeks. It has been a lot these past few weeks, but some good, some not so good. So I'm going to share all of that with you today. But I would love to get connected with you even further. So if you are listening to this podcast, to this episode, I first want to say thank you. Thank you for joining us on this journey, joining me on this journey to be able to help you in your home education journey, wherever that may be. You may be a homeschool mom that is a full-time homeschool mom, and you are like a veteran, right? You've been doing this and you're like, some new ideas. I'm always up for some fresh new ideas. So if you are here and you're a homeschool veteran, thank you for being here. I would love to get connected, and I would love for you to share any additional tips, tricks, things that have worked for you in the Facebook group. Let us know. So we have the Home Education with Ease Facebook group, and that group is a community for you to come as you are and say, these are things that have worked for me. These are things that haven't worked for me, but they may work for you, because every family is uniquely perfect exactly the way they are. And we tweak things, throughout the whole journey to see what works and what doesn't work. If you are new to homeschool, I want to say welcome. Thank you for being here. There are so many tips, tricks, resources, interviews, so much to take away from this podcast. So I encourage you, go back, listen. We're on episode 106 right now. So that is so exciting. That is a huge accomplishment. And there's so much information. I talk about so many different topics because when we're talking about home education, it's not just homeschooling at home. It's our life. I'm a business owner. I'm a podcast host. I record videos. I write curriculum. I run a business and I tutor, and all of those aspects that come along with running a business, running a home, being a homeschool mom, being a wife, having kids, running errands, just all of those things. I talk about all of that throughout this podcast. So if you've been with me from the beginning, thank you. And if you are just catching this podcast and this episode for the first time, thank you for being here. And I encourage you to go back and listen to some of the other podcast episodes. I have so many interviews that are so enlightening and just so fun and encouraging. So I encourage you to check those out. And if you are here as a mom with a business, a career, children in school, children not quite in school yet, maybe you have infants or toddlers, or you're pregnant, or your kids are maybe older, you are in the right spot. No matter where you are at on your journey of motherhood, of home education, of educating our kids, because no matter what, even if your kids are in school, there are still things that we need to do at home to prepare them for life. So that's why I just love having everyone here. Like, I literally am giving you all a virtual hug right now. If you're watching me on YouTube and on the video, I have my arms out giving you guys lots of love and hugs, because that's really what it's all about for me. It's about, how can I encourage you? How can I support you and send you the love and hugs and prayers that you need right where you are? So again, thank you for being here. What a way to start off 2026. And I am so thrilled to be starting a new year with you. So this will be the third year of this podcast. We originally had the name Educating Kids, Connecting Families the first year. Last year, we changed it to Home Education with Ease, and we're going to keep that name because I really feel that in my soul is what it's supposed to be about. How can we educate our kids at home with ease, with peace, with joy? And again, no matter where you're at on your journey. Maybe you run a business and you want to homeschool your kids. It can be done. Maybe your kids are in school and you say, I don't think I can homeschool my kids. That's okay. There's still things that can be done at home to set them up for success. Maybe you are, a new family and just starting out having kids, which is where I started when I started this journey. I knew when I had my kids, I wasn't going to stay in the classroom forever. So if some of you don't know, I was an elementary and special education teacher in the classroom for about 10 years, but I knew that wasn't my calling. I knew God had so much more in store for me. And I worked in the classroom, had my kiddos, and then I said, honey, I'll work one more year and see if this is really where I'm supposed to be or if there's more for me. And sure enough, there was more for me. The last episode, 105, the last episode of 2025, is with my hashtag mentor for life. I've called her that for about 20 years now. Well, I haven't called her that for 20 years, but she has been my mentor for about 20 years. I did an entire podcast episode with her. I encourage you to check that out. It goes through our entire journey of how I really got here in this particular spot. How did I leave my classroom job, something that was stable, something that was guaranteed, right? My pension, my retirement, my insurance, all of those things were so secure, but I walked away from it. Why? Because one, I knew that wasn't my calling. Even though I had helped hundreds of kids in my time in the classroom. And I still keep in touch with some of my kids. In fact, I just saw She wasn't one of my students, but I knew her from her mom that was a teacher there. And I knew her from coming into my classroom. She loved to see the students that I was working with and help out when needed. But I saw her at the restaurant and she was like, "Oh my goodness, Mrs. Furman, it's so great to see you." So having those connections and being able to see the students that I taught in my life skills classroom, as well as my second grade classroom, the last year that I had, and see that they're now able to drive, see them just succeed and flourish in life, it just warms my heart so much. But when I had my kids, things started to shift for me a little bit. And I said, I want to be that person that's home with them all the time. I want to be educating them to the best of the ability that I could, and know that I could get any resources I needed to make sure that I was meeting the needs of my own children. And now that has transferred into creating a curriculum, creating a educational method, a homeschool method, the EduPlay learning method of how can I help families meet right where they're at, right? So meet your kids exactly where they are. And regardless of their age, their abilities, I'm able to provide education. I'm able to provide, my educational videos. I'm able to provide tutoring. I'm able to provide resources and suggestions and modifications to meet the needs of your children. So I just love that I now get to do this and help families all over the U.S., and it's just so exciting and beyond, right? Because it doesn't have to stop now. It doesn't have to stop here. It can continue. And some of you may actually be listening outside of the U.S., and I'm so, so grateful that you are here with us. So thank you so much. I would just love to know if you are listening. I would love for you to join the Home Education with Ease Facebook group. Let us know where you're from. Let us know some of the goals that you have for 2026, whatever they may be. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about how can we set realistic goals and attainable goals, and what are some of those action steps for you and your family. And then I'm going to talk about 10 areas of your life of how you can, look at these areas of life and say, okay, these are the questions that I'm going to ask myself so I can set our family up for success this year. So we're going to talk all about that. But let me share just a little story with you, okay? So as we are getting back into the swing of things in the new year, I have to just be completely honest. This little scratchy voice that may be coming through to you, or a little cough here and there, Christmas did not go as planned. That is for sure. So we left Georgia, and I had almost like a sinus infection whenever I left here. That was like December 12th. And we were going to Pittsburgh all the way through Christmas, all the way through my son Alex's birthday. And then Dan and I were flying to Cancun while my kids stayed with my parents. And then we were coming back and then driving home. So as I'm recording this podcast, we literally drove home last night, and today is like a reset day for us. So it is definitely a slow moving kind of a day today. But let's back up a little bit so I can share a little bit about how this trip went, because it definitely wasn't all bad. Obviously, if you go to Cancun, it can't be that bad, right? But the time in between, it was a little bit more challenging than I would like to have for the holidays. Let's say that for sure. So if this holiday season you dealt with any kind of sickness, any kind of congestion, flu, stomach bug, anything like that, because one, it's inevitable around this time of the year. There's so many people getting together all the time. There's so much sugar. There's so much food dye, right? There's all of these things that are just like throwing us off our schedule, right? We may not be working out as often as we want. We may not be drinking enough water. We may not be getting outside in the sun, moving our body as often as we want, eating a lot more holiday food and treats. Guilty of all of the above, okay? That was all me. But before we left here, I had this sinus congestion going on. And that first week that we were in Pittsburgh was not too bad. I was able to kind of manage through that. Everyone seemed pretty good. We all seemed pretty healthy. I go to a holiday party on a Saturday, and by Monday afternoon, I was wiped out. I was recording a podcast, and that was all I had energy for. I did meet a friend for breakfast, which I did not know I didn't feel well. But I met a friend for breakfast and then recorded a podcast, and that was it. I was wiped out the rest of the day. That was the Monday before Christmas. So 3 p.m. till 10 p.m., I slept that entire day. Now, here's the other thing. We stay with my parents when we go, and I'm forever grateful for that they open their home, and we have an entire loft area upstairs that, we call our home while we're there in Pittsburgh, and it's wonderful. However, have you ever been sick, not in your own home, and tried to just get yourself better? It is a little bit difficult. I do have to say, though, I did get homemade chicken noodle soup and got all the love, and that was a beautiful part. But not being able to be in your own bed, your own home, recover, that was a little bit more difficult. So Ella and I both did not feel well that Monday. Goes all the way through till Christmas Eve. And for Christmas Eve, we typically have dinner at my parents', and we open all of our presents. We're Italian. It's been like our Italian tradition for as long as I can remember. The 7 fishes, all of that, which I don't eat. I have just spaghetti and Alfredo, but that's what's there. Excuse me. All of the goodies are there, all the things. My mom makes a ton of cookies. It's just a wonderful time for our family to get together, and we have a pretty big family. So we do that. We open all of the presents from the family, and then on Christmas Day, it's a little bit more chill. That's where we go out and see Dan's family, and then we meet up at my aunt's for dinner. The kids open presents in the morning, those kind of things, right? Well, this year, we were not feeling well at the house. We were all staying in the house where we would have had other people come to the house. And it was like, we cannot do that. We cannot open up the home for other people to get sick. So we didn't. We postponed Christmas Eve, which was hard. That was my grandma mentioned to my mom. She said, this is the first time you've canceled Christmas Eve since you've been married. And that's been 41 years, which I guess, I don't know that they always had it there. I don't think they always did. But from the time that my mom started hosting, it was probably the first time that she had canceled. And I felt terrible because it was a party that I went to where I got these germs, right? So I felt terrible, but it was awful, guys. It was awful. I laid in bed, my body hurt, I couldn't get up, dehydrated, all of those things, right? The muscle aches, all of that. So finally by Christmas Day, we were feeling better. And here's the other thing. My sister comes in town on Monday when we weren't feeling well. By Christmas, my niece gets it. And it just has continued through my family, all of these germs, and it is just awful. So I am definitely going to do an episode on a lot of the holistic remedies that I've done. So if you are more holistic mindset, stick with me because I talk about that a lot throughout my content, throughout my podcast, because that's important to me. How can we heal our bodies in a holistic way? So I'm going to share some of those things in an upcoming episode with you because there are a lot of germs going around right now. And what can we do to heal our body? I'll just share with you right now a few little things. One, get outside, move your body. And I know up in the northern states, it is cold up there. I totally get that because that's where we were. We were in Pittsburgh and it's cold. Move your body as much as you can, even if you have to do some exercises inside. See if you can bundle up and get outside and get some fresh air. I know one of the days that I was starting to feel better. The weather did break and it was about 50 degrees. And I said, I'm bundling up and I'm going outside for a walk. And oh my, did it make me feel so much better. I was tired afterwards, yes. But to get that fresh air, it's so important. So keep those things in mind. Stay hydrated. Water is great, but coconut water is even better. It has more electrolytes in it, and it'll help you get what your body needs. There's so many little fun facts that I learned that I want to share with you on another episode. But the other thing is like bone broth. Make sure you get some bone broth so you're getting some of that protein. And here's the fun fact. I'll share it now, but I'll probably share it again next episode. That your body, whenever you're sick with anything, your body is not as hungry as typical, right? So like when I don't feel well, I don't want to eat. I want some applesauce. I want some bone broth. I want some soup, something easy like that, right? So as I was researching it, it says that when you are sick, your body is using all of the energy that it has to heal your body, which is why you're not hungry. Because instead of using that energy to digest your food, it's using that energy to heal your body. And I was like mind blown. I thought that was amazing. How incredible is our body? So keep that in mind as well. That was something that was so interesting to me. That was like, no wonder we want applesauce and oatmeal and soup and bone broth. And we don't want a meal because our body can't digest it. It's just fighting to fight off that sickness. So there's a few little things. Definitely nothing that I was going to share, nothing in my notes here about any of this, but I wanted to just kind of share a little bit about my story over the holidays, how it definitely did not go as planned, right? I did not expect to be in bed for about 3 days while I was in Pittsburgh. I was hoping to see family and friends and enjoy the holiday season, and it was just not like that. So then Alex, on his birthday, he wasn't feeling well. So again, loading them up with vitamin C and holistic remedies, things like that, and just letting our bodies completely rest and letting them heal. Lots of baths with Epsom salt, things like that. So if you are in that right now, because I know a lot of things are going around, hopefully these few little tips are able to be helpful. And if you want more, join us next week because I'm going to share more about all of that next week. But let's get back to what we were talking about, setting our intentional goals for 2026, making sure that they're realistic and they're attainable, because I know that I've set goals that were not realistic and they were not attainable for me in that season. So looking at where you're at and saying, okay, what will I be able to actually do this year, this quarter, this month, even this week? For us this week, as we, come back from traveling, and my husband and I did go to Cancun. So we went to Cancun from the 29th until the 3rd. And that was fabulous. So it was our first solo vacation without the kids. And we went with another couple, which was amazing. We did so many cool things. But coming back then, that's a lot of travel. So we came back and we packed all of our things up and then we drove to Georgia. So it has been a lot of travel for the past, travel and sickness for the past 3 weeks between everyone in my family. And so this week, instead of saying we're jumping into it all, or instead of saying on January 1st, we're just doing all the things, right? Well, January 1st, we were still in Mexico. We were still enjoying our vacation for sure. So that really wasn't a realistic goal for me to say, starting January 1st, I'm going to do right? It really wasn't attainable. I was still on vacation, still enjoying my time. My routine was off and our schedule was off. And the same thing whenever we got back, we were still in Pittsburgh and we still had to drive home. And now here we are back in Georgia, but our schedule's still off. We still don't have groceries. We still have to unpack the car and do laundry and just fall back into our routine. So for us to say, oh, January 5th, first Monday of the new year, we're just going to jump into our goals. It really didn't make sense for us. It wasn't realistic. So we're easing into this week. The kids have a play that they're getting ready for. So our schedule is going to be a little bit different than it has been. And we're just easing into that. So those are the things that I want you to kind of think about. What is realistic for you in this season? And yes, we may have these amazing goals that we want to accomplish in our life, but is it something that you can do right now? Or is it something that we need to say, you know what, that's a great goal and we're going to do that. But for right now, this is actually what this goal looks like. And then what are those action steps? So I know for me that I wrote down like, okay, here is my ideal weight that I'd like to obtain this year. Well, what are the things that I need to do that maybe are different that I didn't do last year? What are some of the things that I need to make sure that I'm focusing on? I need to focus on working out 3 to 5 times a day. A day. That's what I told my husband. And he was like, whoa, 3 to 5 times a day? You're going to really be in good shape. No, not 3 to 5 times a day, 3 to 5 times a week. Again, more realistic, right? It would not be realistic for me to say, I'm going to work out 3 to 5 times a day. I'm not a fitness instructor. I am a homeschool mom that's running a business that, is running a home as well, right? So what is realistic? And I say 3 to 5 because ideally I'd like to get a workout in every day. But what if I can't? I'm not going to beat myself up over it. Can I get 3 workouts in a week? Probably. That's probably ideal or definitely attainable. Let's say that. 5 would be ideal, but I definitely could obtain 3. So there's my realistic and attainable. Yeah, that works. I am going to make sure that I'm drinking the water that I need. I'm going to make sure that I'm getting the protein that I need, right? All of these action steps to maintain or to reach that goal of my ideal weight for this year. And can I do it? Yeah, I can if I stick to those goals or stick to those action steps, right? So let's talk about 10 areas of life. And these all may work for you, or there may be some that you're like, nope, I don't really need to worry about that area. And I'm going to focus on these other areas. So this was from a reel that I saw. It was called The Wealthy Homeschoolers. And it's definitely adapted from there, but it definitely kind of gave me like, oh yeah, this is a great idea. And it's actually something Dan and I did on our way home from Cancun. So I got a notebook and I just wrote in there goals of 2026. And on each page or 2 pages, I just wrote marriage 2026. And we went through and we talked about some of these questions, right? And I'm going to go through these questions with you. So then that way you can see like, okay, for our marriage in 2026, is there anything that worked really, really well last year that we want to transfer over to this year? Did we have great communication last year? Did we obtain goals that we set? Or are there things that we need to change to feel more aligned this year? And talk with your spouse about this. I know for me, I'm a very defensive person. So I have to make sure whenever we do have a conversation, I am open because I like things the way that I like things. I know what I want to say, but sometimes I am not open to what my spouse has to say. And that's definitely something that I know that I need to work on. So being open to those kind of things, right? And saying, okay, let me listen to everything that he has to say and see where we need to come up with, that middle ground and say, this is something that I think can be done differently. So then that way, we can really set ourselves up for success in 2026. So one area, let me go through all the areas and then let's go through the questions. Okay. So we have 10 areas here. The first area, and these can be in any order. Okay. But your marriage, your health and wellness, homeschool or education for your kids, whatever that looks like, business, faith, home, kids, family, work, and finances. So 10 areas that you can look at. And again, some of those you may take out. Maybe you don't run a business and you can take that out. Maybe you don't work and you just have businesses. Take out the work part, right? You can, I know some of these areas overlap, but if you look at each area, they are all different. My home is different than my family time, right? What I do to run my home, yes, my family is part of it. My marriage is part of it. My health and wellness is part of it. But in particular, when it comes to talking about your home, are there things that could change? For us, I'll give you a few examples. One, I said, well, let's do a midweek cleanup. Every week on Wednesday, the trash goes out Wednesday night. Let's go through and let's do a complete midweek cleanup. And this may have been a goal in my mind for a while now, but putting it out there for the entire family to know about makes it more attainable. Okay, because everyone then is on the same page. And that's what we're talking about here. How can we ensure that everyone is on the same page with our goals for 2026? Well, we have to talk about it. We have to have the conversation and we all have to say, okay, this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the home life, right? Making sure that on Wednesday night, we're going through and cleaning up. Making sure that on Saturday, we're doing a quick reset of the week. And then on Sunday, we're planning and preparing for the week ahead. So these are just 3 little things that we can do, but it's getting everyone in that mindset to know on Wednesdays, this is what's happening. On Saturday, this is what needs to happen. And on Sunday, this is what needs to happen. And one small action step that my husband, added, he was like, well, one of the things could be that as soon as we walk in the door, we put our things away right away. Because how easy is it for us to hang our coat on the back of the chair, to kick your shoes off and leave them at the counter, right? Or we have a long bar in our kitchen. It's easy for mail to get collected on there, or the keys, or, just whatever we came in with, we just set it there and we move on with our day. And it may not sit there for weeks. It may sit there for a day. But his comment was, how long does it take to go and put that thing away right away? 5, 10 seconds, 15, maybe 30 seconds, right? I consciously thought about this yesterday. So we got in last night at midnight from our travels from Pittsburgh. Okay, so it was late. We were all exhausted. And I went to hang my coat on the back of the chair. Again, it's easy. It's convenient. It's right there, right? I'll get it in the morning. No big deal. But I consciously thought about our conversation and I took my jacket and instead of hanging on the back of the chair, I hung it in the closet that was literally right there, right? It's not even like it's that far away. And I hung it on a hanger and I hung it in the closet. So then as he was, unpacking, getting some things done, and he came in with his jacket, and he walked over to the kitchen table and he went to put his jacket on the back of the chair. Again, easy, convenient, not thinking about it, right? And I said, you could put that in the closet in a very kind way, right? In a conversational way. This never came out in a rude kind of a way. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. I could take this 2 extra seconds and go hang this up right in the closet instead of having to worry about, or, moving it again tomorrow. So again, how can you help keep each other accountable in a kind and respectful way as well? So think about those things as well. Because I know sometimes things can come out, and I know for me, my tone can come out in a way that sounds disrespectful. And I don't always mean it to be that way. But it happens, we're human, and it could be patterns, previous patterns or triggers that have happened and, things that trigger us. But how can we look at this year and start to change those patterns and heal from those things that have happened in the past to really making this year one of the best years? So let's go through them. So did I go through all of these? Marriage, health and wellness, homeschool, education, business, faith, home, kids, family, work, and finances. So again, some of these may overlap, but here are some of the questions that you can ask yourself. I think this is going to need to be another episode here because there's so much information here. But stay tuned on the social media on my social media, because I'll share more information there as well. But some questions that you can ask yourself: what has worked? So for each of these things, for homeschool, home education, or education in general, right? What has worked? Has the schedule that you have been doing, has it been working for you? Or do you need to change it to make things feel more aligned? And if you were here in December, I talked about peace and joy, right? And ease. What do you want your home to feel like? You don't have to keep up with everyone else. What everyone else is doing, it doesn't matter. What works best for your family? If you want peace this year, go get it. You might have to make some changes. You might have to put some boundaries up. You can get that in your home. That's what I want. I want peace. I want my home to be a place where it's structured and routine, but it's full of peace and ease and joy. And I know that sounds like, how can you do that? There are ways. There are strategies. And if you want that for your family, send me a message. Let's talk more about the Home Education with Ease Collective, where I will share how we do that. How do we have structure and routine, but also peace and joy? We can do it. You can attain that. What are some of the things that need to change to feel more aligned? A schedule, a routine, maybe the way that your health and wellness routine, your personal routine, maybe something in your marriage, maybe something in your finances. Look at each area of each area of your life and ask these same questions over and over again. What have you learned over the past year that you want to implement this year? Are you constantly learning new things? I know I am. And I know that's what I want from my children. I want them to be lifelong learners. We have so much information and knowledge at our fingertips all the time. You can be learning through a reel on Instagram. You can be Googling something. There's so many ways. Having a conversation with someone that has learned something new. There's all kind of ways that you can learn new things. Take that knowledge. And if you are 100% like, okay, I 100% believe that and I'm going to learn and I'm going to just do it, great, do it. But if you are like, I need a little more proof, research it. Totally. I'm a very much believer of like, listen, I'm going to try anything. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, okay. I want to know the why. Why does it work? And sometimes I don't always know, but sometimes I'm like, I believe that that's going to work. And then go for it. And then if it doesn't work, or if you found more research and you're like, nope, that really was not aligned, or what I thought was, in alignment with what I believed, don't do it. So think about that. Think about, and I want you to take that and use that. What have you learned? And how can you implement it for every area? What have you learned about your finances or about money in general? And how can you implement something new? So then that way it will work for you differently. If you keep doing the same thing year after year, how can you expect to see growth and change? if those things don't work all the way. If they're working and you see growth and you see change year after year, great, keep doing it. But if you're doing something and you're not seeing that change, you're not seeing the growth that you want, change it up. Figure out what you have to do to make it different, to make the outcome different this year. Think about that for your family. Is there something that may be a little bit off? The schedule, the routine, how everyone helps or doesn't help. What do you want your life and your family to look like this year? You have that control. What about your faith? Do you want to have a better relationship with God? How are you going to change that? I know for me, about 5 years ago, that changed drastically when I started going to a new church. It changed drastically when I found faith that met me where I was. And I didn't do it because that's always what I've done. I found something that met my needs and my family's needs right where we're at. So keep that in mind. That can change at any point. Look at your schedule. I know for us this year, Ella and Alex are auditioning for a play this week, actually. So send them lots of love. And that'll be new for us. Neither one of them have ever been in a play. And I know it's a big time commitment, but they're excited. They're going to be doing The Lion King Jr., and they are so excited. So I know for the first part of this year, January through May, our schedule looks different. So look at your life, right? All of those 10 things in the quarters, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4, because some of these things are going to change. And you can set up your goals for quarter 1 and say, you know what? This is what I expect, or this is the goal that I'm setting, and these are the action steps that I'm setting for quarter 1. And then set up a time in March to reflect. You can reflect throughout the whole quarter, right? But really, before you get into quarter 2, set up a time to reflect and say, you know what? That didn't work the way that I thought it would. So let's change it up for the next quarter or the next month. Or you know what? That has been working amazing. Let's keep going. So keeping those things in mind as well. And then look, and you could do that for anything, right? You could do that for your marriage. You could do that for your finances. You could do that for your health and wellness. All of those pieces could be broken up into the quarters. Look at your finances and say, what are some big things that we need to save for this year? Holidays, birthdays, Christmas, vacations, home projects, business projects. What do I need to block out and say, you know what? We need to really pay attention to our finances here because we want to do this here. Instead of being blindsided, instead of putting things on a credit card, how can we plan for the year with our finances as well? So as you can see, there's so much here that we can dive into. So I want to also, excuse me, I just need a little more tea. As I'm talking about this, I want to put out a live class. And this is something I didn't plan. It's not in my notes. It's something that as I'm speaking to you right now, I feel like this is something that could really be a valuable thing for you and for your family and for so many others. So what we're going to do is, I don't even have a date. I'm going to have to look at the calendar, set up a date, and let's do a live class setting ourselves up for success in 2026. I love it. I think that's going to be the name of it. Setting ourselves or setting our families up for success in 2026. Something like that. Okay. So stay tuned for more information about it. Make sure you are in the Home Education with Ease Facebook group. Send me a message if you want more information directly. If you're like, yes, I want more of this, let's go. Let's I will send you more information, but first send me a message and say, hey, I want more information. How can we do this? So stay tuned. Look in the show notes for a link as well, or even just a way to email me. And no, you know what? There will be a form in the show notes below. Guys, seriously, this is on the fly here right now that I am planning this because I believe that there's value in this. And I believe that it will help set you up for success in 2026. And you could be a homeschool family. You could be a business owner. You could be a mom just looking for that peace in her life. You could be all of the above. This is for you. So I will create a very short, brief form. So then that way you can fill out the form. The link will be in the show notes below. It will also be on my social media platforms this week. I'll be talking about it. And I will get a date for you and a time for you and get you all the information needed for our little live class that we're going to do. But keep this in mind. If you have new routines you want to implement, if you need accountability, if you need additional resources, who can you connect with, right? Is that me? Is that where you need a community so you can connect? Or is that something where it's your spouse, it's your family, and say, you know what? I need accountability in this area. We need to find additional resources so we can be successful in this area, right? So stay tuned because I would love to work with you. I would love to, be with you and go through all of this with you and just have you a part of this little live class that we're going to do. So I'm excited. So, all right, friends. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, if you're new here, thank you so much for being here. Check out some of the previous episodes, 105 of them to be exact. So grateful for that. And if you have been with me, thank you. Share it with a mom that needs more of this, needs more encouragement, needs more support in all areas, because that's what I'm all about. I'm about how can we not only enjoy our life, as we're educating our kids at home, but also how can we be the best mom that we want to be? How can we be the best wife? How can we be the best person, right? And how can we do all of these things, business owners, all of these things together? Because when you're a mom, you don't just do one thing, right? There isn't just, oh yeah, I'm just a mom. No, you're not. You are so much more. And there's so many pieces and aspects that go into being a mom, being a woman, a wife, right? That is what I love to talk about. All of those aspects to help you be the best that you can be. Well, thank you so much for joining. Stay tuned for more information about the live class that we're going to do. That link will be in the show notes. The Home Education with Ease Facebook group, that is in the show notes as well. And also, if you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend. Tag me at Christine Furman or the Home Education Expert or even EduPlay Learning and share it with others. Thank you guys so much. Have a wonderful day. Happy New Year. Thank you for tuning in to the Home Education with Ease podcast. I hope today's episode left you feeling empowered and ready to take the next steps on your home education journey. Your support means the world to me. Please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. For even more resources, be sure to join the free Facebook group, Home Education with Ease, and visit eduplaylearning.com to explore our programs and subscription kits. You can find the links and any other links mentioned in this episode in the show notes below. Remember, you're not alone. This community is here to support you every step of the way.